coming in tonight. So we'll get kicked off here with attendance. So Bill Lesage,
Suzanne Dirksen back.
Peter Echo, Budget Advisory Committee.
James Horan back.
Sean Lewis, City Manager's Office.
Jenny Nolan, Budget Administrator.
Tyson Thornburg, Budget and Financial Analyst.
Tim Dodd, Deputy City Manager.
Jackie McKinnon, City Clerk's Office.
Stephanie Carlile, City Clerk.
Jay Nye back.
all right. Do we have a motion to approve the October meeting minutes?
Move to approve. I'll second.
Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So we will get started here. I wanted to give folks a heads up if we're still going. I need to duck out about 6:20-ish. My girls have a basketball game up in Evergreen tonight, so Peter will take over if I head out. And I think with that, I think we're ready to get started. So we have the city clerks and IT.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having us. It's exciting to be here. Some friendly faces that we know, so thank you. So I'm Stephanie Carlile. I'm the city clerk. This is Jackie McKinnon, the senior deputy city clerk. So we're just gonna give you our departmental overview. I'll just start by saying we're very excited because as of January 2024, we are officially considered our own department. So we're very, very proud of that, and we are very appreciative of the city manager's office for that. So our mission as the city clerks is to serve the citizens, council, staff, visitors in an efficient, courteous, professional manner, performing the functions and duties of the office in accordance with state and municipal laws, certainly the charter as well. We are neutral, impartial. We want to render equitable services with an emphasis on ethics, integrity, professionalism, and our number one goal is quality customer service, innovation, and accessibility to public records. So we serve as clerk to council. We administer the municipal elections. We do the liquor and marijuana licensing for the city. We facilitate open records requests. We also oversee the open meetings law during meetings. We are the information hub for the Civic Center. So we this year took over the, we call it the hub, which is the information desk at the front here in the third floor of the Civic Center. So kind of a one-stop for information and resources. And we also do mail services for the city with that. And then we became a passport acceptance facility this last year. That's an added service that we added and it is generating significant revenue. So we're very, very proud of that program as well. We do the agenda management for city council meetings, records custodians, and board and commission coordination. So just a little glimpse into what we do here for the city. So we love our jobs. Organizational structure is myself, and then I have 7 teammates, 3 part-time customer experience assistants who rotate as hub, mail, and passport agents. We have 1 full-time department assistant who kind of oversees the scheduling of the hub, kind of oversees passport services, and certainly assists the department as a whole. We have our senior deputy city clerk, a deputy city clerk, Sarah Harkness, and then our records and program manager, Casey. So we kind of have several divisions as part of the city clerk team. Our department metrics are the average time to respond to citizen and applicant requests related to licensing, the percent of core requests that we receive and complete within the 3 business days, and then percent of board and commission members, staff liaisons that complete the mandatory training. This last year, we rolled out a more formalized training for board and commission members, and so one of our goals is that we're making sure that all of our board and commission members and staff liaisons feel adequately trained and up to snuff on their role as a board and commission member. So one of our metrics is just how many people are completing the training that we created. So, all right, our funds return to the fund balance. So this is where I'm not great. I am a not a numbers person, so this is where, we can kind of talk, but estimated return. So it was a little bit tricky this year because we absorbed staff, and so it was hard to track kind of where we were at because we were a team of 4, we went to a team of 8. So we came pretty darn close this year.
And that was mostly reorganization.
Reorganization,
Yeah,
yes.
versus like new hire and new,
Yep.
Previously the hub staff at the front desk was in the city manager's office.
Any questions on that? Okay. And then our major accomplishments, so every 4 years, we are required by charter to redistrict council boundaries. So this was a big year for that, so we completed our city council redistricting. With continued implementation of our citywide records management program, Laserfish. We created the board and commission member training materials and a video. We facilitated a referendum that really was a large project that we didn't know was a project for us this year, which involved, verification of thousands of names and signatures on petitions for the referendum that was filed with the city, which then also went to a protest hearing and then curing some of those. So we verified thousands and then kind of re-verified, audited, those types of things. So we were knee deep in a lot of petition verification this year. We coordinated the special election for the recall of 3 of our council members, which also involved a lot of petition verification and then just the facilitation, and thankfully we were able to have that contracted out. We administered our usual coordinated general municipal election, which was on November 7th. We took over the mail services for the city. Once we took that over, we were able to dive in and kind of establish some process improvements. I needed to understand the role. I needed to understand why we had a dedicated person just for mail and what that would look like. And we were able to really streamline a lot of that and kind of integrate it into existing hub services, create a lot of efficiencies, which ultimately created a lot of cost savings. Took over the hub. We had to create staffing for that so that people could get passport certified. And again, a lot of process improvements, understanding what the roles were and why we were doing things that we were doing, and then how we could create efficiencies. And then again, implemented passport services, which has been a high revenue generator for the city. Yes.
On that last comment, you said a high revenue generator. Is that, I'm assuming, via contract with the U.S. Passport Agency?
Yes.
Okay.
So we, as a passport facility, we essentially make sure the paperwork is complete. We're kind of the middleman, but because of that, we can charge a fee for our service of verification of their documents. Also, a lot of people need a passport photo, so that was an added service that we can charge for. So I'd say October, just for instance, October was our best month. We launched the program in April. We had to get staffing, we had to get some steam, but just for example, in October, we generated 12,000.
It was like 12,000, but year to
12,000
date,
for the
we're at almost 53,000.
of just our fees that we collected on so
And that's just May through November.
we're excited now that we've got staffing and everybody's up to stuff and ready to go. We are really excited to see what 2024 will bring with that.
Is that just for the city of Inglewood, or can everyone from around the area?
Anyone from the area?
We've had people from Nebraska, Utah, like people on vacation, because they can't get in and they're on vacation, and they can come and get their passport.
What we did discover along the way is that it is a service that is in such high demand. There are not, we only open up appointments for the passport services a month at a time, every 30 days. And we are booked immediately. And so what we also have done as we've gotten better and more comfortable with it is we've been able to shorten our amount of time we slot for each appointment. So we started out at 30-minute appointments, which you can, process maybe 2 people per 30 minutes. we've tailored that down to 20 minutes for appointments. So yeah, we're just getting better and better, so.
So second question on a different topic, redistricting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to me. You said the charter mandates it every 4 years.
Yes.
So we're just now beginning a new cycle based on the map you've just proposed or had approved?
Yes,
Is that correct?
the redistricting that went into place for this year will be good for 4 years.
Okay, and what's the process on that? I mean, not in depth, but just, you know, at 30,000 foot level, what, I guess, opportunities are there for public comment on that? Are there certain socioeconomic or demographic factors that the clerk's office takes into account?
Yeah.
And I'm curious on a personal level, because I find it very odd to be in the district that I'm in.
Oh, I see.
So it's just interesting to me how that.
Some of the things we consider with the redistricting is certainly one of our biggest goals is to keep it as like the continuity of existing boundaries. We don't want to out-district a council member. It's one very strong consideration. We take, like this year was our first year to use the 2020 census data, the voter registration records, and then certainly all the legal descriptions for each. So you'll see there'll be an area of the city that has had a little more density, a lot more growth that's happened in those 4 years. So what we do is we take all of that data. I give it to John Vorberl in our community development department, and he works up a few options that should be considered because the goal is to keep it within the smallest percentage of each other. You know, several years ago when we went through redistricting, there was discussion of, you know, a certain council member thought the whole business district should be in one. So every year there's a little bit of a nuance that we have to consider, but what we do is we just take the data, we bring that to the election commission. We have them study the issue, make recommendations of what they feel is best, and then we take that to a study session with city council. They study the issue, and then we do bring it for as an ordinance. So there would be public input at that point that council could consider.
At the study session.
Study, well, not at the study session for public, but certainly it does come for first and second readings. And then anytime public comment, we would welcome in regards to that, so.
Thank you.
Can I go back a slide? I'm just curious about the contractual professional services. Is this, would you say, typical of a year where you have so many of these kind of additional duties coming up, or what is the breakdown of that?
That's a really good question. Contractual services, so Tim, you know, for contractual services,
Got your election costs in there.
So like when we hire.
so I think because we had to do a supplemental for the special election, that's part of why it's that high. So it is an extraordinary year for us.
Well, I'm very new, so that doesn't look high or low. It just looks like-
And then your, Stephanie, I believe that's where you also like your, we have like a shredding service, right?
Oh,
And
yeah,
like-
so any professional
Oh,
services.
okay.
So it's that, it's also the contracted hearing, that's under there.
Yep, and our codification. So every time
Civic Plus.
we enact an ordinance that amends the code, we have codification for the city. So we have to keep, so Muni Code is one of our big professional services, shred services for the city, which is dwindling as we digitize and we don't have as many paper processes that are out for destruction. And then, yes, I would say our special election was a large piece of that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And I hope I didn't miss something. So on the redistricting, just the process, after it's codified, then do you send that information to the county?
Yes.
And then does the county send it to the state? How does that?
Yes. So my responsibility is to get the new legal descriptions and maps to the Arapahoe County, who then implements it into their database, and then they notify the Secretary of State's office.
So all databases should be exactly the same, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Is there a before and after that reflects the the rezoning, the district rezoning?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at the map as you're describing it and trying to imagine what may have changed. And I don't expect an explanation tonight, but I just.
I can just kind of briefly share with you. So this part of the last redistricting primarily affected like the general area here. There was a small piece right in here. And again, it was because of some of the growth that's happened in certain regions of the city.
Because D2 is geographically very small.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good enough, thank you.
Can I ask one other question on that as well? So did the redistricting occur in precinct 111? Do you know the answer to that question?
I can look it up.
Okay.
The maps that were proposed to council had precincts on it. Yeah,
Okay.
and so the goal too, when the election commission studies all the options, the goal is to try not to split up precincts. That's not always completely possible, but I think that is typically the goal, certainly, so.
Okay, and I mean, the reason that I asked that question is because I know precinct 111 is split into 4 areas, 111, 111.01, 0.02, and 0.03. And there were 2 different ballots that went out in that area.
So, and I can also share with you, we did our redistricting of the city prior to the completion of Arapahoe County's redistricting project with their county commissioners. So everything was happening not simultaneously because we were already in play and had ours approved before they finalized theirs. And so the data that we used to get ours done, and I must say that it has to be formalized and approved 6 months prior to the general election, which was November 7th. So you have to have everything approved and in place and effective by May.
So did the county have it done on time, or?
I don't know. I just know
That's not
they
your
were in
responsibility,
process
right?
as we were finalizing ours. So your question makes me wonder if perhaps their redistricting efforts then affected a precinct.
Okay.
Yes.
Where's precinct 111?
It's in that area where it's between District 2 and District 1.
Okay.
Regarding the passport services that are doing so well, is there anything that would warrant going into next year or in the next couple of years investing and expanding it?
Yes. We would love more staffing. You know, it really boils down to having the staffing to, I mean, we have secured a space in a room that would allow for 2 passport stations to be happening at the same time. Right now we have 1 dedicated person. We do offer it every single day, Monday through Friday. There are other passport acceptance facilities that maybe do it a couple of hours, 3 days a week. We've recognized the need for the service and what it can do for us from a revenue perspective. So we've tried to maximize it with staffing, and it makes it really tight because we're also covering the front desk here, and then we're also, covering mail services. So they're spread thin, but they're powerhouses, they're rock stars out there, and they're doing well. But yes, we could definitely maximize that. Another one of our goals for this year is to look into TSA PreCheck as a service that we could offer that could be a similar program. We don't know what that would look like. We're just in an exploration phase right there, but our wheels are turning, and we would love to be able to have 2 stations that are doubling what we're doing. But it would require more staffing, trained staff.
That's a good point. That's a really good question, because that could be, not that we have to talk through that today, but like the numbers associated with that if you're going to increase staff, because that could be something we consider as a committee in our report next year.
Yeah.
Is to, is to potentially recommend, depending on what everyone feels, but that might be, like, as you get that, if you could share that information with us.
Yeah.
And, kind of, maybe the end of year projections or projections for next year on revenue, that could be something that we could include in our yearly report.
When do you expect to kind of at least have your mind wrapped around the TSA PreCheck?
We've already started exploring. It's really hard to get some calls back and to get information from the federal government.
I submitted an application over a month ago and I'm just waiting.
Okay.
I mean, that's really what it is. That's kind of how the passport process was too. So you submit the application and you wait.
Also, we don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah.
We are having a really hard time even getting information of what kind of things could we collect for being. But again, we're hearing from the community just that it is something that people would genuinely be interested in. And what we're finding is people from all over are coming to us. We offer a highly professional service, friendly. You know, it's not like going to a place where you don't feel comfortable, and we're getting a lot of great feedback.
So how are people finding this service?
So it's on our website. We've done a social media campaign. It went out in our community magazine. We're also listed as a facility for this geographic region on the federal website. And I think that's how we get a lot of people.
Okay.
And what people are finding is, so there's a lot of facilities that just aren't doing it anymore, and it's for staffing reasons. And so there is a high demand. Our appointments immediately book, and then we have people calling saying, can we still get in? Is there a wait list? That type of thing. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Challenges, so I guess staffing would be one of them. I never really think of that, but you know, we feel adequately staffed for what we currently do, but if we want to take it to the next level, staffing would be something we would need to consider. For us, you know, this year was just an intense year, so a lot of pressure, and we were just very reactive. I felt like we couldn't get to some of the projects that we really had thought 2023 would bring. Our records management program is a huge program that we need implementing, and we had to press pause on a lot of our projects. And then I will tell you that every seminar conference that we went to, all we heard was just the increased, I mean, the cost for elections just nationally has skyrocketed. And that's something that had been pretty stable up until, you know, the last few years, and all election services have really just jumped. So that's just one thing a challenge that we face, and we certainly felt that and saw that this year with a special election, and then even just our coordinated election with Arapahoe County, definitely noticed that was higher. So any off-year election is always going to be higher too. That's something to consider. So they price out our elections based on how many participating jurisdictions, and then they weight that based on population. And so, so during a municipal election, there's several Arapahoe County municipalities participating, so it's less. So for next year, we potentially may have, for instance, like a bond election. That's an off year. That's definitely going to be higher because there may not be as many participating jurisdictions.
I would just add on the records management challenge that you already referenced, that, you know, I saw the commendation that you did for Casey for all the extra work, but I was thinking, but what was the cost of that extra work? That, thank goodness he helped, because y'all needed the help.
Yeah.
But what was the cost of our project management? I mean, our records management, not project, records management.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, just finding a way to keep him and maybe additional staffing resources pouring into that project. Records management is a major problem for this organization, more than any I've ever worked for. And it's just, I think it's a turnover of staff for, you know, decades that just means we didn't have good systems. So we're trying to get that put into place and really make that focus, because it's critical for responding to residents' needs for information. I mean, it takes us way longer than it should to find records because we just haven't had a good system, so.
And like each departmental, just even,
you
know, we'll get started with the
you.
department to help get them going towards it, and then there will be a turnover of staff. We press pause on the project, you know, it's just that repetitive. So we 2024, we are going to be doing a big, strong push to get us over. but we have, we digitized and uploaded over 1,000 legislative records into it. So there's a lot happening that you can't see, but we really want to get us across the finish line with that implementation so that we can instill a program of excellence in regards to records here at the city. So. Still looking for the redistricting stuff. I might have to get that to you on the.
It's fine.
Because I'm curious about Arapahoe County.
Okay.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate it.
See you later. See you Monday.
All right.
Okay, so we're on to IT.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Awesome. My name is Joe Isenbart. I'm the Director of Information Technology here at the city. I brought along Brad Krieger as well in case there are any questions that I'm unable to answer. He'll help me out with that. Our mission is to empower users through collaboration and the use of innovative solutions. Our department consists of three divisions. We have the operations division, data and analytics, and the business services division. The operations division is responsible for monitoring and controlling technology services in the infrastructure, as well as performing the day-to-day operations that are required to keep services, applications, and hardware components running to maximize efficiencies across the organization. Some of their areas of focus are network development, monitoring and maintenance, continuity of operations, problem management, security management, applications monitoring, managing and maintaining technology equipment such as workstations, servers, and various network devices, and basic tech support. The Business Services Division is responsible for providing solutions to improve efficiencies within various business units in the organization. Some of their areas of focus are partnering with the business units to understand their business processes, identifying ways that technology can improve efficiency and enhance service delivery to citizens, and to implement new business applications and provide training and documentation on those applications. They also maintain existing business applications and develop reports to assist business units with decision making. Data and analytics actually work directly under the city manager's office to develop interactive maps, dashboards, and data-driven tools to assist with decision making and provide information for citizens. They also assist with integrations and reports related to data and analytics in the city as well. Next slide. Our department metrics that we're going to be tracking in the next year is user satisfaction level based on survey results, percentage of IT software projects with an identified date of completion. This is something that we've identified as being an issue. A lot of our projects aren't date driven to the extent that they need to be, so we're going to focus on that in the new year. The percent of computers and monitors replaced that were slated to be refreshed in the year, percentage of employees completing cybersecurity awareness training, percent change in support requests year over year, and the percent of support requests resolved through the first call resolution. Next slide. Our funds return to the fund balance. We don't foresee returning much to the fund balance. These are, I think, numbers through the end of September. Things will pretty much stay the same for that fourth quarter as well. We had to, I think, trim the fat in a few areas this year to make sure we stayed within our budget, but I believe we're going to get that done.
Didn't they win the award
Last year.
closest? We have an informal award for getting closest to your budget.
Without going over.
We're trying. So, any questions on that slide? Okay, next slide. Some major accomplishments this year. Operations division was extremely busy. They did an upgrade to the storage area network to improve system performance and stability. They worked with South Platte Renew on a SCADA virtualization project, updated camera storage and system for better analytics, implemented an infrastructure management tool to improve maintenance and security measures within the network. Also did some work with vulnerability scanning and supported the implementation of numerous business applications in the city. Data and analytics did a redesign of the GIS hub to improve that centralized resource for data and analytics. They rebuilt the capital projects dashboard. I did an application for irrigation and turf replacement, and they created an official products and services catalog for data and analytics division. As well, they created an application for climate vulnerability index. Very busy year for them. Next slide. Business services had a number of projects going this year. One of the major projects that we did was the, excuse me, the UKG 3P project, which was basically looking at the HRIS system, finding the inefficiencies there, and improving the configuration to support those activities better in the system, as well as training staff and improving processes generally to make the system more efficient. We also did an e-recording implementation, which would enable the community development team to file documents with Arapahoe County without the need to drive over there every time they needed to file something. So that should greatly improve their efficiencies as well. We did some configuration changes on police RMS to support better reporting for code enforcement. Configured credit card, installed and configured new credit card machines at parks and or at rec department, golf, and Malley. Let's see, salary.com assisted human resources in supporting their class and comp study. Implemented a new iPad application for faster ticket check-in process at Pirates Cove. New time clocks at Broken T. Implemented legal files for the city attorney's office. Completed e-court portal finally, and implemented evidence pad to improve efficiencies with police and barcode readers as well for police, and implemented a text messaging platform for communications in Parks and Rec to improve citizen engagement. Next slide. Some of the challenges that we face currently within our department specifically, and I guess over the organization, is a lack of processes, procedures, and policies. They don't really support repeatable, consistent, high delivery standards to users, and it's definitely inefficient. So we're working to resolve that through the development of new policies and procedures into the new year. Also, along the lines of procedures, our project management challenges, we have not consistently done a great job of implementing new projects. So we are focused on improving the procedures around how we receive a project and how those are prioritized and resources assigned to those projects to make sure that we are meeting the expectations of the users with those projects. Security management deficiencies, we don't have a dedicated staff member to consider the various security standards and issues that we see on a daily basis. So it's a very reactive situation that we have right now, where we're trying to keep up with the security risks that come out, and we're constantly tracking these changes and reacting to them instead of being more proactive and getting ahead of them. So that's one area that we recognize as a deficiency, and that's really staffing there. I think that long term we're going to need security analysts to focus on those areas. So it's one thing to build out the system so that it's secure, but that's not even half the battle. You have to be monitoring these things, and you create logs, but you need to be watching those logs, and we just don't have the staffing right now to provide the appropriate level of attention to that. Staff overwhelm, overall we're all reactive at this point. Through the development of standard operating procedures, we hope to realize some efficiencies there. But more importantly, we hope to understand better the metrics around our performance to see, do we need more staff there, or do we just need to improve our processes? So those are some of the challenges that we're working on. Next slide. The top 3 capital project priorities that we have for 2024 is the phone system replacement. The current phone system is no longer supported, so we're kind of in a bad position there. We are going to move forward with a soft phone system. This will improve the functionality as far as the phones go, and will also improve the user mobility for our organization. So we'll essentially, wherever we take a laptop, we're going to have a phone with us. So I think that's going to be a great improvement. There's also a lot more functionality that we can leverage through that type of a system as well. The badge system replacement, this is a physical access security. Right now we have disparate systems at various facilities in the city. We're looking to get every facility on the same system. We'll have better control over that system. New equipment will be more stable for us and ultimately more secure. And the last one is a core request portal. This is a portal that will allow citizens to request documents through this portal. In some cases, they'll be able to just simply download the document. If it's not a document that needs to be redacted or something of that nature, they'll be able to just retrieve that on their own. But it will also help us track requests that come in for those documents that do require a city clerk's office or another entity to do redaction and research to deliver those documents. So we think that'll improve efficiencies with the city clerk's office, take a little bit of the workload off of them, while at the same time improving that service to the community. Next slide. I guess that's it. Are there any questions?
I did have a question about something that you went over pretty quickly in one of your early slides. You talked about a climate vulnerability index. I think obviously climate's something everyone's very interested in, so that caught my ear.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know a lot about that. Perhaps Tim could fill me in on that. That's something that the data and analytics team worked on for him this year.
Yeah, so this is a plan that it's actually in the city manager's office that our sustainability coordinator is working on. And so she works very closely with GIS administrator and the manager of that department. And so it's just listed here as one of the major things that they worked on. So I don't think it's published yet, although I could be wrong on that, but I think it will be in 2024.
I have a question. You had talked about project management being a little bit insufficient, and in my line of work, I completely 100% feel your pain. I'm just curious what steps you're looking at as far as helping take on or alleviate the workload of project management, and if there are two hires you're looking at right now, which are the security analyst and someone to help with project management. Is that currently kind of on your radar, or I'm just kind of curious what's next there?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that we have with project management right now is we have solutions instead of problems that come to us, and we're always in the reactive state. So in this project management process, we're going to build out how project intake works, so that we can control that project from the very beginning. Part of the thing that we struggle with is we get this solution that they want us to implement, and we don't know how much research has gone into whether that solution will actually satisfy the requirements of the application. And the reason for that is they haven't really sat down and decided what those requirements are. So from the very beginning, we want to get ahead of that, build a charter, build the requirements out so that we can understand what is the problem before we reach for the solution. So I think that'll help first and foremost. And then as we go along through the process, more definition to, how do we handle tasks? How do we handle risks, communication, things of that nature? We're all kind of going our own separate ways on these things, and we need to have a more uniform approach to that to help users to manage their expectations. Definitely anybody we hire in the business services area, we like to see a lot of project management experience with them, but oftentimes that doesn't really work well when they end up being the IT lead and the project manager, because they have the IT tasks that they need to be getting done over on one side, but they still have to keep an eye on the project plan, keep an eye on other members of the project team, things of that nature. So I see long-term bringing someone in who can manage the various projects within our department to help with that function.
Well, it was a very long list of accomplishments this year, so I personally I commend you and your team for doing an excellent job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
To kind of feed off what Jay was saying, I live in the IT product world, and so understand about requirements and coming with solutions and all of that. One thing, and I think you kind of answered it, because I had this question going into the presentation, and I think your challenges face slide kind of answered that. But I know between last year and this year, I've heard, departments come in and say, well, we're still working with IT on various system implementations. The city attorney's office gave us one last week. I know HR had one. I was kind of going back through my notes, but there's been a few. And I also understand those are third-party integrations and often moving from a legacy platform. So there's all kinds of complexities and things like that. But does that tie into the challenges faced slide, and really the staffing concern on why some of those are dragging out, or, and dragging out may not even be the right phrase to use.
Yeah, to some degree, that's true. So the city attorney's software is a good example of that. They came to us with this application. It was going to do everything they needed to do. We spent a significant amount of time implementing that system, and as we neared the end of that, it became obvious that this system was not going to support their needs. There were some issues with the system that we uncovered that the vendor didn't even know about. And at the end of the day, we ended up aborting that and bringing on a new system. So again, without including our business services team in the mix, our users don't do this every day, but we do, and we need to be better at it, and we need to be their expert. And when we have that relationship, then we can guide them from the beginning so that we can recognize what those functional requirements are and bring in a system that's going to support those requirements.
Yep, makes sense.
Mr. Chairman, can I add to that? Yeah, I think, I have needed to do a better job of making sure that departments are coordinating with IT when they find their own solution.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's devoid of that. And so I think in the last 6 months, I feel like maybe I'm doing a better job, and I'm sure Tim is too with his departments, saying, oh, thank you for letting me know about that. Have you coordinated with the IT department about that, technology need? So I think that's getting a little bit better. The other thing I want to point out is that the 3 examples you've given, since Joe's taken on the role as director, and I'm sure Brad has had a big hand in this too, all of those have been implemented. So the city attorney is now up and running with her new tracking software for her legal requests. And then for the first time in 2 years, we have the online portal for payments in municipal court. It's been a major pain point. Joe reached out to former IT director Margaret Brocklander, brought her on, and she had helped set that up originally. And so just has done a great job. And then I know on the HRIS system, Tim, Joe, that's progressing with progress on whatever we're calling that team, right? There's a whole team of people working on that.
3P.
The 3P project? Yeah, okay. So we've made a lot of progress just in the last few months on some of those, but it's a point well taken. It's been a pain point for a while.
Okay, that's great.
To add to what Sean mentioned earlier, we have worked with the finance department, particularly procurement. Anytime they see something that comes across their desk that looks to be technology related, they're reaching out to me, making sure that I know about it. So that's helping a lot. So.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks. Any other questions, comments? Peter, did you have your hand up earlier?
Well, well, thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to express that I hope that we have the measures and the tools to address cyber liability and exposures and security risks through insurance or other forms of coverage. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, definitely. Brad, you have your hand up?
Hi, everyone. Brad Kreger, I'm the IT operations manager. I just want to follow up with that. Cybersecurity insurance has so many requirements to be able to meet that. And if you do experience a cyber event, in order to have that payout, you have to have that list of requirements met beforehand. So meeting those requirements are really critical to having a security analyst who is dedicated to understanding those processes and having those in place. So.
Excellent point.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Doesn't look like it.
All right. I appreciate everybody giving us their time tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That was good. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
I think we've made it through our 2 presentations for tonight. Quick reminder, next meeting's on December 19th. So It's right before the holidays. Okay, member's choice. Does anybody have anything? What can I do today? All right, then I think we're good for tonight. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I did forget to mention that Steve had reached out today and said he wouldn't be able to make it.
Oh.
I meant to say that